You know that moment when you're facing a big fork in the road? Maybe it's a new job offer or something shifting in a relationship.
hmm Or even just that kind of nagging feeling that something's got to change.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling with what to actually do.
You feel me?
So today, we're going to dig into this, well, it sounds simple, but this question. Am I being truly honest with myself? Really?
Ah, that one. It seems straightforward, but wow, it really opened things up, doesn't it?
It does. We've looked at some really interesting thinking around this, and our goal today is kind of unpack what that really means and how asking it can, guide you.
Right. Because it forces you to look past the easy answers, maybe the stories you've been telling yourself. Think of it like as a way to get to a deeper level of awareness. Understanding those gut feelings.
Yeah, the stuff you might be ignoring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can make decisions that actually feel right for you and, well, build a life story you're genuinely proud of.
Yeah, because we're all pretty good storytellers, aren't we? Especially to ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. Masters of the internal narrative.
We find ourselves saying things like, oh, it's not a big deal, or, well, everyone else is doing it, so it must be fine.
Or the classic, I can handle it. I've got this.
Totally. But what if those stories, the ones we tell ourselves, are actually keeping us from seeing the truth?
Well, that's the core of it, isn't it? Yeah. Those little self-deceptions, they can be subtle, kind of shielding us from things that feel maybe uncomfortable. So just spotting them, recognizing those narratives, that's really the first crucial step. It's like turning on a light in a room you usually keep dark.
Right. I was reading about this guy, let's call him Mike. He got this job offer, and on paper, it looked perfect.
The dream job scenario.
Totally. Great money, fancy title, the kind of thing he thought he'd been aiming for his whole career. And everyone around him was just thrilled.
You got to take it.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. That kind of thing. We get so caught up in those external markers, what society says is success.
Yeah, the pressure to tick those boxes can be huge. Really can.
It really can. But Mike, deep down, he felt this hesitation, like a little nagging voice.
Gut feeling.
Exactly. So he actually took some time, sat with it, and asked himself that question. Okay, am I being really honest here? What do I actually want?
Brave move. It's hard to question the dream.
It is. And what came up really surprised him. He realized he didn't actually want the crazy stress, the super long hours, the big city pressure that came with that job.
Huh. So the external package didn't match the internal reality.
Not at all. What he really wanted was, well, more time, more flexibility. Time, actually. Time with his kids and maybe some peace and quiet to pursue things he liked.
Wow. It's amazing how often our true values are kind of hidden beneath what looks good on the surface. His story really shows why tuning into that internal compass is so vital.
Even if it points somewhere unexpected.
Especially then, maybe.
Well, get this. He turned the job down.
No way! After all that.
Yep. Ended up finding something different. Running his own small business, actually. Doesn't make him a millionaire, he says, but he's genuinely happy. No regrets.
That's powerful. That initial honesty really changed his whole path.
It really did. It makes me think of that Brian Tracy quote. Something like,
The true test of character is to be honest with yourself even when no one is watching.
That's the one. It's about that inner alignment, Being true to yourself, not just putting on a show.
It's like you said earlier, holding up a mirror.
Yeah.
But not just to your face, to your deeper feelings.
Yeah. That question, am I being honest? It helps you see past the reflection you want others to see, or even the one you want to see yourself.
Gets to the real motivations, the fears, the desires underneath.
So, okay, here's something practical for you listening. Next time you're facing a tricky decision, something that feels, heavy, try to find a quiet spot, just you, and ask yourself, really ask, what do I really want here? And maybe even more important, why? Why do I really want that?
And the key is being willing to actually hear the answers.
Right.
Even if they're not what you expected or what seems convenient.
Exactly. Be brave enough for the real answer.
Or give yourself some grace in that. Clarity doesn't always hit you like lightning. Sometimes it's more like...
like cleaning a dusty window.
Yeah, exactly, like cleaning a window. Each time you ask honestly, you wipe away a bit more of the dust, the expectations, the shoulds, and your own view gets clearer.
It reminds me of this other quick story, Laura. She kept signing up for gym memberships year after year because, get fit.
The January ritual.
Totally. But if she'd been really honest, she hated the gym. like dreaded going.
Yeah, we often push ourselves towards goals that sound good or that we think we should want, don't we? Without checking if they actually, like, light us up.
Right. So finally she admitted it. I hate gyms. And then she asked, okay, what do I actually like doing? Turns out she loved being outdoors, hiking, and dancing. So she canceled the gym, started hiking on weekends, joined a dance class, got fitter, saved money, and was way happier.
See, the honest path often leads to more joy, more sustainable results.
Yeah.
It just feels right.
And every one of these decisions, big like Mike's job or smaller like Laura's gym membership, they become part of your life story, don't they?
Absolutely. Every choice is like writing a sentence in your own autobiography.
So think about this. Picture yourself maybe 80 years old looking back. What story do you want to tell then?
That's a powerful framing.
Do you want to say, yeah, I followed my heart, I took some risks, I built a life I really loved? Or is it going to be more like, well, I kind of just did what everyone else expected?
Oof, that hits home. And the thing is, the choice is yours right now. The pen is in your hand.
It really is. Tony Robbins said something like, it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped.
So true. Even the small decisions add up, creating the overall direction.
So here's a tip maybe. Before you make a big decision, try asking, what story do I want to tell later about this?
I like that. Project yourself forward.
Yeah, imagine future you looking back. Will this choice lead to pride or, regret? Choosing what feels aligned now is kind of a gift to that future self.
It's about being intentional, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actively writing your story instead of just letting it happen to you.
Yeah. It's like, imagine you're building a bridge. Every honest choice, every decision aligned with your truth is like a solid stone.
Okay.
You choose carefully, you build a strong, beautiful bridge to where you want to go. But if your choices are random or based on what others want or just dishonest,
You end up with a shaky bridge. Might not hold up.
exactly, it's shaky, maybe broken. So that self-honesty, it's like being the architect, consciously designing the life you want to live.
Okay, so we've talked about honesty. Now let's shift gears slightly. Let's talk about that little feeling inside. You know the one?
Like a knot in your stomach, maybe. Or just a weird vibe.
Yeah, that subtle sense that something isn't quite right, even if everything on the surface looks totally fine. That little red flag waving in your gut.
Okay, yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, that feeling, it's not just your imagination. We call it inner tension. And it's really, really worth listening to.
We often brush it off, though, don't we? Oh, I'm just tired, or I'm just stressed.
Exactly. We rationalize it away.
Mm-hmm.
But that tension, it's usually trying to tell you something important.
Okay, so how do we recognize it better?
Think of it like this. Imagine you're driving your car and you hear this tiny little rattle, super faint.
Easy to ignore.
Right. You just turn up the radio. But if you keep ignoring it, that tiny rattle could be signaling a major problem about to happen with the engine.
Right, yeah. Leads to a breakdown later.
Exactly. Our inner world is kind of similar. That subtle tension, that unease, it's like a whisper from your intuition.
With a car rattle, I like that.
It's trying to get your attention. It might not be loud, maybe just a slight hesitation, a tiny pull in your chest, that feeling of,
So it's like an internal warning system.
Precisely. Your conscience, your gut feeling, your inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it, it's trying to guide you. And when you notice it, the big question becomes, is there a tension here that deserves my attention?
Just acknowledging it is the first step then, not dismissing it immediately.
Yes. Validate it. Treat it like data. Don't just try to squash it or explain it away logically right off the bat.
But we live in a world that loves speed. Right. Make a decision, move on. Pausing feels counterintuitive sometimes.
It does. We value decisiveness. But, speed can be dangerous if you're heading in the wrong direction. Pausing when you feel that inner friction isn't weakness. Often it's actually wisdom.
Slowing down to make sure you're on the right track.
Exactly. Rushing ahead while ignoring that unease. That's often when we make choices we regret later. Pausing gives you space to listen.
I heard about this guy, Daniel. Got offered a big promotion, looked amazing on paper, more money, responsibility, the works.
Sounds familiar, like Mike's story earlier.
Yeah, similar vibe. But Daniel felt this tension, this weird feeling he couldn't quite pin down. Logically, it was a great move.
But the gut was saying something different.
Right. So instead of just saying yes, he actually told them he needed a few days to think. He decided to just sit with that feeling.
He paused. He didn't push through.
Exactly. And in that pause, he started asking deeper questions, talked to a couple of people quietly, did a bit more digging about the team he'd be leading.
And what did he find?
Turned out there were some let's say challenging dynamics, an untrustworthy team member, a boss who wasn't always straight, things that hadn't been obvious at first.
Wow, so the tension was pointing to real issues.
Absolutely. If he'd ignored it and just jumped in because it looked good, he probably would have walked right into a really stressful, toxic situation.
Dodged a bullet, basically.
Totally. By pausing and listening, he avoided that storm, and actually, a few months later, a much better opportunity came along that was a perfect fit.
So his story really highlights what we could maybe call the pause and pay attention method.
Ooh, I like that. Pause and pay attention.
Yeah. It's simple, right? When you feel that hesitation, that internal, don't just override it.
Okay, so what do you do?
First, acknowledge it. Maybe even write it down. Feeling uneasy about X. Then literally sit with it for a bit, a day, maybe even longer if needed.
Get it space.
Yeah. Ask yourself gently, okay, what's really making me feel this way? What's underneath this? Maybe talk to someone wise, someone you trust, not to get them to decide for you, but just to help you explore the feeling.
Right. Bounce ideas off them.
Remember, that tension is there to help you, not hurt you. It's trying to protect you or guide you.
I know someone else, Sarah. She was about to buy this house, looked perfect, ticked all the boxes, great location, but she had this strange feeling every time she went inside. Couldn't explain it. The agent was pressuring her, her family thought it was great.
Classic external pressure versus internal signal.
Right. But she trusted that weird feeling enough to pause. She asked for a bit more time, did some extra digging into the property history, found out the basement had a history of flooding. Major issue, super expensive to fix, wasn't disclosed. That little pause, trusting that inexplicable tension, saved her a fortune and a massive headache.
Incredible. These stories really drive home that inner tension isn't just noise. It's often wisdom whispering.
Definitely. And okay, so the tension doesn't always mean you should say no, right?
Exactly. That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
It doesn't automatically mean stop, danger. But it always means wait, look again, ask deeper questions.
Dig a little more before you proceed.
Right. Think about it. Your body, your heart, they often pick up on subtle cues that your logical brain might miss or dismiss. Like Joe Dispenza says, your body is your unconscious mind.
I like that. Our bodies hold intelligence.
They really do. It's like walking into a room and just feeling that something's off, even if you can't logically point to why. We need to learn to trust that somatic intelligence more.
So that inner tension is kind of like the check engine light in your car.
Perfect analogy. You can put tape over the light, pretend it's not there.
But the problem's still under the hood.
Exactly. Ignoring it doesn't fix the issue. And eventually it could lead to a breakdown, burnout, a bad relationship, a financial mess, whatever.
So instead of ignoring the light,
Pop the hood, take a look, see what's causing it. Paying attention to that tension proactively can help you make course corrections before things get serious. It might point you in a much better direction.
there's a coaching tip I heard once. If your heart whispers wait, don't let your ego shout go.
Oh, that's good. That really captures the dynamic. The ego wants action, results, progress now. But the heart, the intuition, often counsels patience and deeper looking.
Slowing down when you feel that hesitation leads to more peaceful decisions, usually.
Definitely. So the big takeaway here, ask yourself, is there a tension here that deserves my attention? If yes, don't brush it off. Pause, reflect, investigate. That little niggle could save you from a big mistake.
Okay, so we've covered self-honesty and inner tension. Now let's shift to another really powerful question, one that impacts, well, everything really. Our relationships, how we treat ourselves.
This is a big one.
The question is, what does love require of me?
And importantly, when we say love here, we're not just talking romantic candles and flowers love, right?
No, not at all. It's broader. It's about how we treat people, colleagues, family, strangers, friends, and crucially, how we treat ourselves.
It's about choosing kindness, compassion, understanding, even when it's difficult.
Yeah, asking what does love require of me is like asking, how can I step up and be a slightly better version of myself in this moment? It pushes you to choose maybe patience over irritation.
Or forgiveness over holding a grudge.
Understanding over judgment.
Yeah, it shifts the focus from what do I want or how do I feel to what's the most constructive, compassionate way to act right now.
I remember the story about Anna. She got this really infuriating email from a coworker. Just felt totally unfair, maybe passive-aggressive.
Oh yeah, those emails are the worst. Easy to fire back.
Totally. And she drafted this scathing reply in her head. Maybe even typed some of it out. But just before hitting send, something made her pause. She asked herself that question. Okay, wait. What does love require of me here?
Ah, that pause again. Creating space between the trigger and the response.
Exactly. And she realized, lashing out might feel good for a second, but it wouldn't actually solve anything. It would probably just escalate things, damage the relationship.
So what did love require?
In her case, it required calming down, deleting the angry draft, and sending a simple, calm email suggesting they talk it through in person.
Much harder, probably in the moment.
Way harder. But she did it. They met. Turns out there was a misunderstanding. The coworker actually apologized, and they sorted it out. Their working relationship even got stronger. Imagine the alternative if she'd sent that first email.
Yeah, could have been a disaster. Her story really shows how that question can steer us away from reactivity and towards connection, even when we feel wronged.
It really boils down to a choice we make constantly, doesn't it? In every interaction, really. Am I going to build a bridge, or am I going to build a wall?
Bridge or wall? I like that framing.
Anger, pride, selfishness, judgment. Those things build walls between people. Kindness, patience, understanding, forgiveness, those build bridges.
So asking what does love require is basically choosing to be a bridge builder.
Yeah, even when, maybe especially when, it feels easier or more justified to build a wall, it's a conscious choice for connection over conflict.
It sounds great, but it can be hard in the heat of the moment when emotions are running high.
Oh, totally. That's why having a little technique can help. I heard someone call it the 3-second rule of love.
Okay, tell me more.
When you feel that heat rising, anger, hurt, impatience, just pause for literally 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3.
Just enough to break the circuit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In those 3 seconds, take a breath and ask the question, what does love require right now?
That tiny pause creates a window of choice.
It does. Maybe love requires silence instead of shouting back. Maybe it requires walking away to cool down instead of attacking. Maybe it requires listening instead of interrupting to make your point.
Those small, conscious choices, guided by love, they add up. They're the bricks in the bridge.
They really are. They build trust and strengthen relationships over time.
You know, it reminds me of a story about a father and son who were estranged. Big argument years ago, lots of harsh words, silence ever since.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. So much pain there.
Yeah. The father carried a lot of guilt, but also a lot of pride. Years went by. Then he heard someone talking about forgiveness, about asking what love requires.
And it hit him.
It hit him hard. He wrestled with it because reaching out meant swallowing his pride, being vulnerable, maybe facing rejection. What did love require?
It required taking the first step, didn't it? Even if it was terrifying.
It did. He decided love required him to try. He wrote a letter, not blaming, not justifying, just saying he was sorry for his part, that he loved his son, and he missed him.
Wow. That takes immense courage.
It really does. He sent it, not knowing what would happen. And for a while, nothing. But eventually, the son called. They started talking again, slowly. It wasn't instant magic, but that act of love, initiated by the father, opened the door to healing.
That's incredible. It shows that love sometimes really does mean sacrifice, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's not always easy or feel good. Sometimes love asks us to put aside our ego, our comfort, our need to be right.
Like apologizing first, even if you feel the other person was more wrong.
Or forgiving someone who hasn't asked for forgiveness.
Or just choosing to stay kind when you feel like snapping.
Yeah. There's that great Denzel Washington quote. Something with the end of the day.
Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, it's not about what you have or even what you've accomplished. It's about who you've lifted up, who you've made better. It's about what you've given back.
That's it. Choosing love, even when it's sacrificial, is giving back. It's lifting others up. It's making the world, or at least your corner of it, a little better.
It's like tending a garden, maybe, or relationships.
What do you mean?
Well, you can't just expect flowers to bloom if you don't water them, weed them, nurture them, right? You can't just take. Love requires that tending, that patience, that giving.
That's a lovely metaphor. Love as active cultivation, not passive receiving.
Yeah. There's a coaching principle I really like. Ask what love would do, then do that even if it's harder.
Simple, but profound. And yeah, often the loving choice is the harder one in the short term.
But it almost always leads to a better future, doesn't it? Better than choosing bitterness or resentment or pride. Those things might feel powerful for a moment, but they poison things long term.
So true. Loving actions might not fix everything instantly, but they plant seeds for healing and connection.
So the final takeaway here, keep asking that question, what does love require of me?
And be open to the answers. Sometimes it might mean speaking up when it's uncomfortable.
Or setting a boundary, kindly but firmly.
Offering forgiveness, maybe a second chance.
Practicing patience when you're running thin, just simple kindness.
Yeah. And choosing love, even when it's tough, even when it involves sacrifice, it always holds inherent value. It shapes us into better people and strengthens the bonds we share.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the big ideas from our deep dive today. We started with that crucial question for self-awareness.
Am I being honest with myself? Really? A powerful tool for cutting through the noise and understanding your true desires.
And then we explored that internal signal, the check engine light.
Is there a tension here that deserves my attention? Learning to pause and listen to that inner wisdom before pushing forward.
And finally, the question that shapes our interactions and character.
What does love require of me? Shifting our focus towards compassion, connection, and constructive action.
These are really practical tools, aren't they? Not just abstract ideas.
Absolutely. The real power comes when you start actively using them in your everyday life. When you're facing a decision, feeling that unease, or navigating a tricky relationship moment.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is just that. Try it. Start asking these questions.
Yeah, don't just think about them, apply them. Notice what comes up. See what shifts for you when you engage with your choices and relationships through the lens of honesty, attention, and love.
It might surprise you what insights emerge. Consistently asking these questions really can help you build a life story that feels more authentic, more intentional.
And ultimately more fulfilling. A story built with purpose and, well, with love.
Absolutely. Remember, you have this capacity within you for self-awareness, for listening to your inner wisdom, and for choosing love. Go out there and use it.